All right, class, good morning. Happy Friday. I just want to say that this will be the last video that I post for this class. So please make sure you watch and listen carefully to the entire thing. It's going to contain some pretty important information for you as we finish the school year. I hope you guys will have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. It may not be what it usually looks like for you, but I hope you can make the most of it, enjoy a little time off, prepare yourself to end what's been a very unique and challenging, yet hopefully also in many ways rewarding school year. Here's the plan. First, I just want to give you a reminder that anything that is missing or late for this class must be turned in by 3 p.m. today. After 3 p.m. today, you will no longer have the opportunity to turn in missing or late work for credit, and everything will be marked as a 0. I would really hate to do that, but ultimately you've been given enough time, and we've given you entire days of the week every Friday to help get caught up, and at some point there needs to be a deadline, and at some point you just got to turn the work in. Most of you have done this already, and I'm very thankful for that. I've been extraordinarily impressed with students' ability this last few months to get work done in a difficult situation, so thank you for that. But for those of you who do have missing things, please get that done 3 p.m. today. That way I can at least give you a grade for that and I don't have to put in a 0. Next thing I'd like to do is tell you about your exam, which is due next week, Thursday, 3 p.m. I will post this later today, so you can get a head start if you want, but you have between now and next week, Thursday, to get this done. This is a test grade. This exam will consist of 5 extended response questions. So there are not a lot of questions for you to answer, but each question will require extensive detail and explanation and depth of thought. So I'm looking for not so much quantity in terms of how many questions we cover, but I'm looking for depth and quality, where your responses are clear, they're thoughtful, they're detailed, and they show exceptional understanding and consideration of some of the topics we've talked about in this class. So here's kind of a breakdown for what those topics are for the 5 questions. 2 of the questions will just cover the idea of current events in general. So it's not like a specific current event or a specific current issue. It's just overall current events and issues regardless of what they are and when they happen. Be prepared to answer 2 questions about that. The next question is going to talk about responsible news, which was one of the first units that we did, the idea of finding, analyzing, and sharing news in a responsible way. Be prepared to answer a question about that in an extended fashion. Another question will cover the idea of immigration and immigration in general, so legal immigration, illegal immigration, immigration that deals with refugees. Be prepared to have an extended reflection and explanation on a question dealing with that. And then finally, and these aren't in the order you'll find them, but the last question will be about this idea of protest, which we've barely talked about and covered the past week or so. And what does protest look like for a Christian? Be prepared to answer a question about that. For every question, there's specific details, so read the questions carefully. There's a certain number of sentences or reasons or examples you need to give, but I'm grading them based on, did you provide an answer that was complete? Is it thorough? Is it detailed? And then lastly, is it thoughtful? So once again, I'm not looking so much for the breadth and the width of ideas. I am looking for depth. So make sure you think carefully and explain ideas clearly to demonstrate that you've done that. If you are able to do this, it's an option, it's not required, but if for some of these questions you would like to do some extra research just to back up your opinion, if all you do is take somebody else's idea through research and that's the only ideas you give me, you're getting a grand total of 0 points. You're not stealing other people's ideas. These do have to be your personal reflections and thoughts. But if you want to base those ideas on research, which I would encourage and say that's a totally valid and legitimate thing to do, although it's not required, please make sure that you copy and paste the source that you used for that research. You're not going to get or lose any points based on whether or not you do that, but it is responsible to cite where information is coming from if it's coming from somewhere other than yourself. Lastly, please make sure that your questions are considered carefully. It's a pretty short exam in the sense there's only 5 questions, and you've got more than enough time to do it since I'm posting it today. But take your time to consider them carefully and give ideas that, once again, are original. They are your own, even if they are also backed by somebody else's research too. Then to end this video and to end my time with you in this class, I would like to end where we started, which was in John 4, and it seems like years ago, but we actually started this class by doing a careful reading of John 4. And for those who don't remember this story, I would encourage you to read again the story of Jesus' discussion with the Samaritan woman at the well. And what I'd like to do to end this class is encourage you that when you study and look at current events, when you think of how you perceive events and issues, and then how you respond to them, one thing I hope you will do, especially with other people, whether you know them well or not, is be prepared to do what Jesus did, which was meet people where they are at. Right? Jesus came to the well. He came to the position where she was at in life, a position of brokenness, a position of loneliness. She had had multiple husbands, very challenging, difficult life where she was perceived as an outcast in her own home city. Jesus didn't scorn her. He didn't reject her. He didn't judge her. He knew her, and he met her where she was at. So whoever you meet in life, whether it's family, friends, strangers, whatever, I strongly encourage you to seek to the best of your ability, and we always fall short, but to follow the actions of Jesus in John 4 by meeting those that you interact with where they're at, instead of expecting them to try to meet you where you're at. And I promise that your witness, your testimony, and your ability to make a difference in the kingdom of Christ will exponentially increase if you follow that example that Jesus set. I am thankful for each and every one of you. I wish that we could have ended this school year on much different circumstances, but I'm grateful for the work you've done. Students at WMC have always been my favorite part of WMC, and that's what I'll always remember. So thank you. God bless you and keep you as you move forward in your lives.